Hi Aries, this is your astrological prognosis for the month of November 2011. Today we're shooting from the beautiful estate of the Duke of Northumberland, and behind me is a statue of Mercury. And Mercury, according to legends, Mercury or Hermes was the god or the divinity that brought astrology, that gave the knowledge of astrology down to earth. So it's quite a relevant place. And before I start, I would always advise you, check out the prognosis for your ascendant sign, for your moon sign, and for your sun sign, because some people react much more to their sun sign, some people react much more to their moon sign, some react much more to their ascendant. And for you to have the fuller picture, you need to listen to three signs, that are, because a person is made from more than one sign. As I said, for some people the ascendant sign is stronger. It depends. You have to listen for your prognosis for the three signs, so you can decide which one actually takes precedence over the others. But to be honest, all of them you will hear and you will experience the events and the psychological states of all the three signs that you have for the prognosis of the all three signs, because you have inside of you all these three signs and you react to all of them. And if you don't know your ascendant sign or moon sign, you can find them by following the link below, or I think I've put it somewhere below, to my website astrolada.com, where there is an ascendant sign and moon sign calculator. And enter your date and time of birth, and you will know those. Mark down the exact degree of the ascendant sign and moon sign, and once you hear your exact degree of the moon ascendant being mentioned, pay a lot of attention, because this will be particularly relevant for you. You will feel it poignantly, strongly. And what does November 2011 bring for you, Aries? It's quite interesting, actually, because the energies this month are not so light for Aries. It started from October, from the last 10 days of October. You started having a bit of a darker influence, with planets being into your 8th house. And it's going to persist for the first couple of weeks of November. And the 8th house is the dark taboo house. It's the house of psychological, deep emotional states. So some of you might be getting into those a bit darker, a bit more turbulent emotions, bringing to the surface a bit more of your darker side, or having to experience through others a bit more conflict and battles, because 8th house is also considered the house of the battleground. So there might be battles of wills with some of you, but nothing too scary. It's just this topic will be triggered. 8th house is also the house of hidden and taboo things. So some of you might be more interested into more occult subjects, into more mysterious and topics that are a bit forbidden for others. In the most extreme cases, you become a bit more darker yourself, a bit more intense, a bit more compulsive. It's a house of compulsive complexes, compulsive behaviors as well. These can come up to the surface. So if you notice yourself becoming a bit like that, just be aware it's the planets influencing you. Don't freak out. It has to come. All the darkness has to come to the surface in order for you to overcome it, in order for you to experience it and deal with it. Not to get more obsessed with it. But towards the end of the month, all this kind of toxic energy, all this more dark experiences are going to be changing, because planets will be moving into your 9th house, probably from the 2nd, 3rd week of November. And 9th house is the house of the light, is the house of God, is the house of positivity. So you'll be brightening up a bit the second part of the month. You'll be feeling in a much more optimistic state of mind than the first part, and you will be willing even to open up your mind more, because 9th house is the house of the higher mind, of the thirst for knowledge, but not like common knowledge, not knowledge about skills or anything. It's knowledge about the higher purpose of life, the higher meaning of life, the bigger picture in life. So you'll be focusing from the second part of November on the bigger things in your life, whether they're philosophical nature or whether they have a more personal nature for yourself, like mapping the plan of your future ahead of you, because you'll be able to have this bird's view of your problems, and you'll be able to put the puzzles together more easily, to understand how it's all gonna fit together. So you can start planning for your future from the second part of the month, you know. You'll be given this ability to be more full of wisdom the second part of the month, because 9th house is house of wisdom, of God, of your higher self, being in touch with your higher purpose. And even if you're not spiritual, it doesn't, as I say, keep saying, it doesn't have to be a spiritual meaning for you. It can be just seeing your plans for the future better, planning better. It's also the house of journeys, long distance journeys. Some of you might be taking a journey. Even if it's not a physical journey, it can be journey of the mind, exploring something you haven't explored before, learning something new. Maybe exploring a new culture, a new language, getting in contact with something unknown and more exotic for yourself, maybe people that are unusual for you. But, you know, it's expanding your mind, it's seeing the bigger picture. And another interesting thing that is happening for you, Aries, this month, is that Mars, the planet of energy, is changing its sign. And it's going to go from your 5th house into your 6th house, and it's going to stay there till July, because it will be moving backwards and forwards. Mars usually takes 2 months to pass through a sign, but this time is different. It's going to stay with you for 7-8 months, you know, it's quite a long time. And the 6th house is not the easiest of places. The 6th house is the default line of the horoscope. And it's basically where, I keep saying in my other videos, where like the tectonic plates of the earth meet, and this is where all the earthquakes happen. This is the 6th house, is also the fault line of your body. So this is where illnesses can happen. And this Mars is a bit of an inflammatory, angry planet. So it can make some certain illnesses flare up in your body, especially if your ascendant is in Aries or your moon is in Aries, you know, you will feel it starting from November till July. Maybe you won't feel it even from November yet, further on, because you have so many months of this influence. So because Mars is an angry planet, it can be like sudden illnesses, like having a sore throat, like having temperature. Mars is a hot planet, is the god of war, of anger, so your body might be angry as well. Temperatures, or inflammatory illnesses, or just sudden accidents in your body. You know, just be careful. You have to pay more attention to your health. I'm also an Aries. I have a very strong Aries influence. I have 4 planets there. So I'll be watching out as well together with you. And its 6th house is the house, as I say, it's when a bad planet activates it, or a difficult planet activates it, like Mars, it puts a big exclamation mark on your health, you know. So pay attention more to, you know, to get rid, because Mars is also the planet of the surgery, you know, of like a surgical knife. So so you can also surgically remove, talking metaphorically, all the bad habits you used to have from before, you know. So you can cut off all the toxic habits you've had. So it will be a great period for the next 7-8 months to work on overcoming, for instance, certain addictions, overcoming certain unhealthy states of mind, overcoming certain problems. It's certain problems in your everyday life that really upset you generally, that pose normally a problem in your life, you know. As I say, 6th house is the house of disbalance and illness. And when Mars goes there, he's the doctor, he's the surgeon. He can cut off these balances. You will have the willpower and the resolve to do it, because Mars is a very strong planet, you know, so you can tackle problems easier. You can, if you've been having, say mice in the house that have been annoying you for a while, now you're gonna really tackle in the problem. So if you've been having someone in the office that's been going on your nerves all the time, for instance, you'll have the courage and drive to go and stand up to them and tell them, you know, you can't do this anymore, you know, to deal with all those problems, because 6th house is problems that vex us in our life, you know, whether it's health, whether it's your body's aching here or there, so you start working out or doing yoga, or eating better, taking better care of your daily regime, whether it's some bad routines you have in your daily life that are annoying you, so waking up later, you can start waking up earlier. It's all about tackling all those everyday, day-to-day activities which create problems, those annoying problems in our life. You know, you have the energy to do it. But as I say, it will stay there till July, so we have a long time to tackle with this. I personally will be starting fitness regime, and I'll be tackling some of my other problems, you know, because also sixth house is the house of work, of doing all those errands that we keep pushing aside. And because Mars is such an energetic planet, once it gets there for 7-8 months, you have so much more energy to deal with those vexing, annoying, repetitive jobs that you usually put aside and that you know, try, you know, to forget. But now you tackle them, all this administrative work, all this probably having something to do in the house, having something to do with your regime. I keep repeating myself, I shouldn't do this, but you get the picture, Aries, don't you? It's a great time to work on perfecting yourself, improving yourself, removing those obstacles and those irksome and annoying problems that you usually meet in your life, changing your routines. And now I'm going to mention some specific dates. Please pay attention to this, because if you hear your moon, ascendant, or day of birth being mentioned, you will definitely feel those. They will really affect you. You know, these are from the more common, the things I was talking to you about. They're for all areas, and some of you will feel them, some of you not so strongly, maybe 40–50%. But if you hear your days being mentioned now, or degrees of ascendant and moon, you will definitely feel this influence happening now in the month of November. So if your ascendant or if your moon is from 22 to 26 degrees in Aries, or if you are born on 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17th of April, including me, we're going to have Saturn influence. And it comes rarely. Saturn affects those planets in Aries once in 7 or sometimes even 14 years. It's very rare in influence. And Saturn is a hard taskmaster. A lot of you warned me from the previous video in October that I scare you too much about Saturn. Because yes, Saturn does give us troubles. Anything that has been overlooked comes to the surface in whatever part of your life, maybe relationships most probably in this part. Anything that has been not paid enough attention will, or has been swept under the carpet, will resurface like a cold sore, you know, to the surface and give you trouble and problems. But except problems, Saturn's main influence is to make us mature and grow up and face our responsibilities. Saturn is the planet of responsibility. So on a more positive note, what will it require from us? Well, a lot of you might start feeling as if you're much more serious than normal. Like if you've been fooling around, being more childish, a bit irresponsible, playing around more, now you get in a very serious state of mind, very focused, and you're saying, right, these are my ambitions, these are my goals, I'm gonna follow them, I'm gonna go after them. It gives resolve and determination into you. So a lot of you will be in a much more serious, work-oriented, effort-oriented state of mind. Those of you who don't enjoy this kind of things, they will feel the pull for this. They will feel the call of the planet to get more serious and responsible. But if they're resisting it, there will be a big friction and unhappiness inside of yourself. That's why Saturn can make you feel depressed, because Saturn calls for materialization of your goals, for getting serious, making things happen in your life. And if you're not so used to organizing your life, if you're not so used to being on a strict regime, on a more Spartan kind of regime and daily life and routine, working hard, more hard work, less fun, then you're going to be resisting it. You're going to be feeling quite, some of you, annoyed, upset, frustrated, angry even, if this was not part of your plan, you know. A lot of you will get much more responsibility than normal. And if you are not expecting it, you might be quite grumpy, quite upset. But those of you who want this responsibility, and some of you will actually take on responsibilities from their own volition, from their own will, they will thrive during Saturn periods, you know. They will thrive, because Saturn, as I keep saying, is about hard work, growing, being mature, doing the basic work, you know. If you have a plan, or if you want to, like, building a building, it's laying the foundations. This is what Saturn wants to do. And like all groundwork is the hardest, is the most effort. It requires more effort. You meet the biggest hurdles by meeting big boulders, or just like when they're laying foundations, they might have to clear big space of the ground, you know, and they might be, the ground might be rocky, and this is where a lot of material problems can be made, you know, and Saturn is planet of restrictions, so we'll be feeling more restricted in our ability to move around, in our ability, in our also financial state for a lot of us. In a lot of us, it will be in our freedom of movement, because you're tied down with more responsibility or with circumstances that are restricting you. So Saturn is not time for expanse, it's not time for woo, going crazy. It's time of focusing your energy inwards and working hard and laying the groundwork for your ambitions. Those of you who are not ambitious, they will just feel the call to be more serious. They will feel the call to be more responsible. Some of you might have to become this because of outside circumstances. Maybe your parents are not well, you have to take care of them, or maybe you're given much more work than you usually have, you know. But this is what normally happens, this seriousness, this heaviness of Saturn that comes. And reevaluation. A lot of you might feel dissatisfied with certain circumstances in life, and you would need to reevaluate it, especially relationship, because Saturn is in the opposite sign. Opposite signs are about relationships. It's the opposite sign from Aries, which is Libra. And a lot of you, especially those who have their ascendant and their moon in Aries, so also the sun in Aries, they will feel the pull to decide who is worth staying in my life, who's been treating me well, who is not treating me well. Or if you're not aware and mature enough to wake up to this call, then outer circumstances will make you wake up. Say the person might leave you, or they might do something really horrible to you, which should be like a wake-up call for you, who is worth staying and who is not. Anyway, this is for the month of November, Aries. It's quite interesting. It's a period of doing important things in our lives. You know, it's not a period to play so much. You know, it's more a period of, as I say, getting rid of waste, toxic habits, of tackling problems, of becoming more serious for some of us, of overcoming obstacles. And thankfully, this ninth house influence that we're having towards the second part of the month will help us see the bigger picture and not be so discontent with the circumstances, however restrictive they might be, because we'll be able to see the higher picture and the meaning behind of this. So we'll be able to make sense of all of it. You know, maybe some of you, it's good to read some philosophy or read some spiritual literature the second part of the month. It will help you with, you know, with this fighting spirit and this overcoming those more tight circumstances that some of us might encounter. Anyway, this is for the month of November, Aries. I will hope to see you next month.